Hi, I'm Mr. Kwang here. We shall be talking about C6 user interface and user experience, UI and UX. Right, this is considered in the is contained a small section under 4.2.2 inside your syllabus. Stay apply usability principles in the design of web applications. So you won't be tested for this in practical, but when you design a web app, it's good to make some considerations here as well. Okay, but of course they're free to ask you this section in theory, right? Okay, so what exactly is UI UX design? It's getting users to do what we want them to do. All right. Okay, so some terms that we need to define later, and then we just go through this. We will talk about the mental model affordance in the second lecture, the UI. So UI mental model affordance in the second lecture, right? And this is also in the second lecture as well. All right. So today we're just the first part we just talk about user experience. All right. So there are some videos for you to watch to tell the difference between UI and UX. So the links are given inside Cosmology. Please feel free to go and watch them. In fact, I think you should watch them to enhance your learning experience. Right. So what exactly is user experience design? Okay, so the process by which teams create products or processes that provide the user with experiences that are the most pleasant, meaningful, and as user friendly as possible. Good UX design has the right characteristics, affordance to elicit the right mental models with as little as possible, using patterns so that users do what's intended. It's like, for example, when we want to use our smartphone, right? We expect our smartphone to work in a certain way. When we use our phones, right? We want to feel good at the end of it. We want to feel happy to be using the phone, right? So things like a very bright screen, a very smooth sliding experience, etc. All those things help to contribute to the user experience of your smartphone. And so for apps as well, like certain apps, you know that when you use it, you'll be happy because things just work for you, right? So the next page, right, we will see what we need to do in order to enhance the user experience. So let's move on. Okay, so user experience, right? There are four key elements of consideration. Essentially, what you're doing here is that you're using psychology to help you. You're making use of human psychology to help you to guide, to help you to see what you need to do for your users. You are also considering their needs as well, right? What exactly your users can do, cannot do. Like for example, if you're working with old folks, right, you know that they will not be able to press very small buttons. They will not be able to see very small text. So things like this all come to consideration. Okay, let's just quickly run through these 4 points here on the next few slides. Okay, next we have understanding behavior. Okay, so it's important to understand how people think and what they do to satisfy current needs or solve existing problems. Okay, so this will lead to solutions that are useful and easy to use and also solve real problems. Alright, so I've shown you an example here is that okay, using positive psychology on the weight management app. Right. So you know that when people want to come to a website to try to lose weight, right? They are there because they feel bad about their own weight. Okay, they feel bad about their health. So if you want to, you can of course use a model which is always like trying to scold them, trying to nag them into you should know you are very fat, you know you should lose weight. Your life is very bad, you need to lose weight. Right. But this will obviously would not make most users very happy. You'll just remind them of their issues. Okay, so instead of that, right, if you look at this side here, you are given there are some lines that, for example, we ask you to simply believe. All right. Then they ask you like when you first join Noom, we ask you to do one thing and one thing only, and we told this one thing is the secret to success. Then you see you're coming back to Noom with three things that set you above the rest and be key to your success. Right. So what this side is trying to do is that it's trying to encourage you that to tell you that you're on the right track. You are here because you want to solve the problem. So they are trying to encourage you this way. So this is making use of positive psychology. This is important in helping in for weight management side okay, because it encourages you to come back. Right, that's one. Okay, research and strategy. All right, so you need to show design empathy. Okay, translating user needs into doable solutions. Like for example, right, if you are designing the website for the blind, you would not want to use you would not want to use you would not want to use slides that are very hard to read. Okay, that's one. Okay, for the vision people, you want to choose the right colors to ensure that people can see your sites properly. Okay, if you're designing sites for the elderly, right, you also want to make sure that it's very easy for them to read. Like this case here, the option on the left here, okay, is not easy for the it saves more space. You can put, like for example, you can put 7 products on the same page versus 6 on this one here, right? But clearly the right hand side one is much easier to read. Okay, so in order to do this, right, your UX designer will have to do some research on the target community. Okay, I'm using project work terms here. Okay, so you need to understand your target community, understand their needs and their challenges, and so called here their frustrations. That will help you to make a site that is better, make an app that's better for them. Okay, here you hear me keep on saying using sites, using websites or apps as an app as a example here, right? But UX design extends to all aspects of our life. Any product they use, any software you use will also need to consider UX design, right? Enhancing usability, right? So good design is by helping the user. If it does not solve the problem or makes it challenging, it's not good design. Okay, reducing confusion and make it clear for where to go. Okay, designing for delight, making sure it's usable. Okay, so for this case here, right, you want, like for example, what I'm showing here is that I'm showing you a banking app. Okay, you in this first screen is showing you the various transactions you have made. All right, but at the end of the day, right, what the user really wants usually when they open the banking app is that they want to see how much money they have left. Okay, then for example, things like all these transactions when it's done, it will come on to show you clearly that this transaction has been done. Okay, so one thing about reducing confusion, right? Later we'll talk about it in the UI section as well. Reducing confusion is not just about reducing the elements on your screen. A clean interface with not much information does not mean that it is not a confusing one. It's about trying to provide information when the user needs it. Okay. So sometimes when you need to present more complicated information, like for example here, right, you cannot just say, for example, oh, coffee. You need to give details like, oh, when was this made? So this will help the user to get a quick glance through of what his spending is. All right, validating design. So after you have done your research on the various design strategies, are you designing for your right consumer? Are you designing for usability, right? You need to do some testing before you launch your design. All right. So one way that UX designers do is that they start from a very basic, what I call a wireframe. It's just a black and white sketch of the interface, okay, or how the website looks like. Then they move on to a clickable prototype. So a clickable prototype could be done, let's say in Excel, where you use, in PowerPoint, where you use different buttons and hotkeys to let you navigate the supposed site. All right. Then you do this thing called A/B testing. Okay, what exactly is A/B testing? So let's say you're ready to launch. You have already a website design that's already done. All right, but you do not launch it to replace your current design straight away. What you can do is that through maybe for example you check the IP addresses, or based on their login, right, you let different users see different versions of your website. Okay, so for example, if you have your control group, right, this control group will see the original version of the website. Then the variation group will see the, also called the experimental group, right, will see your new website. Okay, so then you look at various metrics you have on the site. So for example, let's say your site is to use to purchase things, right? You can see which one is more effective in converting a sale. Okay, so let's say your new site is better at converting the sale, right? You use a new site instead. That means it's more effective. It will work. Right, showing empathy for current users when iterating design. So this one here is like, for example, when you push out a new interface, you have been using the same interface for like many years. Then suddenly you make a big change. It's important to allow users time to go and get used to it. All right, so give them the chance to come back to the old version. One example that personally I didn't like was how Instagram changed the layout of the buttons and stuff, and it was a very big change because suddenly post your button goes to the top of the screen, right? So that change was very sudden. A lot of users were not ready for it. All right. Okay. So before we end of this section, in preparation of your next section for UI, right? Think about your favorite app or website. Okay. Then think about what makes you like this app or website. All right, or app. Let's just stick to app. That'll be easier. Okay. How does the app present its content? What makes the app easy and intuitive to use? What keeps you coming back to use the app? So this will let us make some think about what actually appeals to us in terms of our user experience, and also lead on nicely to our user interface part. Okay, that's all for the first part. Thank you.